Hey folks, Post here, welcome back to another Pokemon Masters video, and with Caitlin Reuniclus's banner come back, they also dropped her Sync Grid expansion, right? So yeah, let's go over her Sync Grid expansion. So her Sync Grid expansion I actually like a lot. Like, I mean, I'm actually, here's how I frame it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of like her abilities or her grid. Like, I'm not saying in that sense, but more so how they did her grid, right? Because Caitlin Reuniclus's Sync Grid, like, all the good stuff is in 2 out of 3. You do not need her at 3 out of 3. As long as you got her 2 out of 3, you got like 95% of all the good stuff in her grid. Like 3 out of 5, like you get an extra move gauge refresh on Psychic, extra Psychic over here. Maybe if you want Propulsion, which I don't even know if anyone wants that, right? Move gauge boost, gauge refresh, some extra special attack, I guess. Then power hype up, which again, I'm not sure if anyone wants that either. But yeah, like 95% of all her good stuff is in her 2 out of 5. Nothing's really significant. I guess the most significant one is just like the move gauge refresh on Psychic, which again isn't that big of a deal, right? Is just under 2 out of 5, right? So anyways, let's go over some builds. Let's actually start with 2 out of 5, right? So 2 out of 5, basically you got most of the stuff here, right? So Caitlin Reuniclus, she's definitely the best Psychic type tracker in the game at the moment, right? She could take hits relatively well, and she also has a grid that gives her a lot of healing, right? You got healthy healing, which makes her gradually heal herself as soon as she enters the battle, right? And then Catalytic Cure 2, which has a 20% chance of restoring your HP anytime a move is successful, right? Actually, occasionally, is that 20 per? I mean, it is 2, but I think the word occasionally is like, for some reason, I think it's like some other number value. Actually, give me a second. Let me just check, right? Occasionally is 30%. Oh, so, well, there's that. I think it means 30% for 20% of HP back, which is really, really good, right? So yeah, so Caitlin heals a lot, right? So especially if you're dealing in Villa stages where the opponent has AoE moves, or when you get hit by a sync move, right? Since all sync moves are AoE, this is great. So anyways, let's go. So obviously you want the Psychic nodes, right? Like people wondering why, if you're wondering why, Caitlin now hits harder than Mewtwo, it's mainly because of these Psychic nodes, honestly. Like, the multiplier that you get from power-upping moves is just so much, right? So, even though, like, the numbers are small, like, it's only +4, but, like, the difference is huge in terms of, change the multiplier. And then pick up the move gauge refresh for Psychic, and then you go down here, and then pick up Healthy Healing and Catalytic Cure. So, you got both of those locked down, right? If you also want Natural Remedy, which is also another good option, you could pick that up as well. You could maybe lose a Psychic node and then pick up another. Is there anything for 2? Oh, well, extra 10 HP, I guess, for 2 if you want. That's 4. Okay, yeah, you could pick this up if you want Natural Remedy as well, which removes all the status conditions, which isn't really that big of a deal. Like the only status conditions, because Caitlin Reuniclus actually does have passives that mitigate that. The 2 big ones, right, which are Burn and Poison. So she's already protected from like Poison and Burn. So it's just mainly going to be like Sleep and Paralysis and all that stuff, right? So I honestly don't think Natural Remedy is that worth it, even though a lot of people do want to go for it. It's just because she's like basically already protected, like against, I would say like 50% of the like most relevant status conditions, right? So I just personally would go for the power up, but again, if you want Natural Remedy, go for that as well. It's not that big of a deal, right? So yeah, basically this is what you would probably go for in 2 out of 5, which again is just like 95% of her grid, right? A lot of people do complain about some sync grids not getting a lot of stuff locked behind 3 out of 5, whatever, and then they call it pay to win, even though the game is, you could beat everything in the game with free to play units. But sometimes those are really annoying. But for Caitlin, 2 out of 5, you got like mostly everything. Obviously, if you do get 3 out of 5, you get some extra options, right? Although like your main grid honestly would be pretty similar here as well. Except I would personally just pick up a second psychic move gauge refresh instead. Like Caitlin just has just so much move gauge stuff, right? You got move gauge refresh on as one of your moves, right? You get +3 move gauge every time you use it, which is also another reason why she does out damage me too now, right? And then you also got MP refresh on that as well now, so you could also take that. So yeah, depending on what you want to do, if you're like using Caitlin like as like a secondary damage dealer in Villa, not like a main damage dealer, you're just trying to heal stuff and like provide move gauge, then you could maybe go for like something like this instead. Get revenge boost and move gauge boost, move gauge refresh, right? While also doing some, I guess, decent damage, but like also not like, you know, making like it's so this is more like a tank / support build, right? You could also pick up hidden power propulsion, so you could just spam hidden power. Well, not like spam hidden power, but you know, use hidden power while also getting move gauge back for your team, right? If you don't want that, you could also go for move gauge yourself. I'll probably prefer this, right? Even though it's like only 30%, this is 40%. You do have both, or not both. You do have an extra point when you do get this trigger, right? Which, you know, this is 100% triggered, right? So there's that as well. But yeah, overall, got a lot of good options. You could also go if you want for the all this like sync move nodes. If you want that, because Caitlin Reuniclus, she's actually like, because she doesn't, like, a lot of people complain that she doesn't have crit, but like her grid is set up so that like it's actually good for her, because with crit, like, you know, sync move is an issue, right? But since she doesn't have crit and she has special attack boost instead, you're guaranteed to get all those damage buffs onto your sync move, right? Because sync move is downgrades your crit rate by 1 when you use it, right? So if you're at 100% crit rate, your sync move crit rate is only 80%. If you're at 80%, your sync move crit rate is 50%, right? Like that. So that actually does benefit Reuniclus a bit. And also, if you're just going for sync move, you probably want Empower Propulsion as well, which again, I'm not a huge fan of, but it's not bad, I guess. If you want Hype Up, which is, I personally think it's whatever, like, small chances, what, like 20% or something? Yeah, 20% is, it's not bad, but it's not like the greatest either. So yeah, you could go for that if you want to just go for like some kind of sync move build, right? Which would do a decent amount of damage, because Caitlin, like, with all her faults, and you know, I don't think she's like, she used to be like a meme tier unit in terms of striker. Like, she gets like completely outclassed by a free to play unit, right? But now she's really good because her base is fantastic. She has really good special attack, right? So she has that going for her, and again with the SPA boost, all that stuff, you should deal a decent amount of damage on your sync move. As for a 1 out of 5 sync grid for Caitlin Reuniclus, you still got like a decent amount of stuff. Like, you unfortunately don't have like both these healings, but hey, like, you just get some power ups on psychic, which is nice. So you hit harder. Hitting harder is pretty cool. Unfortunately, you don't get any of the move gauge regens, but yeah, you don't get any of those fancy stuff, but you get a lot of the stuff, right? Which you could just throw in there, especially for Battle Villa, right? For Battle Villa, this is all good. I mean, I guess if you want to like go for Hidden Power instead, because you just get like the move gauge refresh on that. But I personally don't think it's that big of a deal. Snow Shelter, Sand Shelter, obviously super situational. I don't know, like, when, I mean, obviously if you're running it with a sand or snow team, you want to put it on, but like, yeah, again, 1 out of 5, you don't have too much going for it, right? You know, most of the stuff is unlocked after, you know, 2 out of 5, right? But yeah, there are some stuff. Pick up Natural Remedy, I guess. If you get paralyzed, you could get out of the paralysis. Some just stat nodes, all that stuff. If you don't want that, more stats, right? Get stats, which are still good. Most of these are defensive stats, though. I think the only special attack stat, aside from this one, is like down here, which is 3 out of 5. But it's not that big of a deal since, again, she already has like a monstrous special attack stat. So, yeah, that's gonna be for this one, right? Caitlin Reuniclus, much better, right? She used to be, again, like I said, basically a meme tier striker unit, getting outclassed by a free-to-play unit, but now she's so much better, and good for her, good for her. I'm personally not a huge fan, but hey, if you guys got it, go for it. Anyways, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like and enjoy the videos, subscribe to my channel for some more content. I'll see you guys in the next one.